Teresa, take one.
And Teresa, look at me and could you please tell me about the journey that we've been through and how we went from straight up, being thrown in the fire in the beginning 2.5 years ago or so, and where we are today.
What's interesting about working with QSRs, what's interesting about working with quick service restaurants is they aren't really accustomed to working with customer service centers. And as a result, what seems like a simple concept of putting an agent on the phone to take an order is anything but simple. There's so much knowledge that has to be transferred from that brand to the agent. So effectively, they're like every other employee that's hired into an organization. And we want them to understand the brand. We want them to understand the culture. We want them to understand all the products. And most importantly, we want them to understand the customer. So starting with a live agent is a good idea. However, it's not the most efficient way to place a customer order, nor is it always the best way. So what we want to do to create the very best customer experience is combine AI and human interactions together. That's your best experience. But how do you do that? Well, first of all, when you're taking live calls, the one thing you get is what are the customer's pain points? We record every single conversation between a customer and a live agent. That recording is turned into data that can be analyzed. With that, we then know what the customers like, what they don't like. We can then use AI to address a lot of the pain points. For example, one thing customers don't like is being transferred. So if a live agent answers the phone and the customer needs to speak to someone else, let's say the live agent is taking an order, but the customer really wants to speak to someone in the store. Well, what happens at that moment is the live agent really has to transfer that customer to the store. Guess what? That's a bad experience for the customer, especially if the information that the customer gave the live agent has to be now repeated again to the person in the store. We want to avoid that at all possible costs. So AI solves that problem because AI can find out what the customer's need is. What is the intent of the call? They can make sure it's properly routed. It's different than an IVR. An IVR says press 1 for this, press 2 for that. Well, guess what? The customer rarely presses the right number. They just aren't listening. They don't care. They just want to usually press 1 and move on. So then what happens is we go through the process of dissatisfaction. And the customer says, I don't like using AI. I don't like using AI, but that's not AI. That's an IVR. AI, it sounds like a human, but it's really a bot. It understands the customer's intent and it can transfer it to the right source. Instantly, you've got a better experience, even if all that IVR does is transfer the customer to the right live person. So that's where AI comes in and right away into the picture. Simple, easy to execute, and very cost effective for everyone involved. The other thing that AI can do is it can understand the customer better than the agent. See, everyone always says, oh, well, what if the customer can't understand the agent? What if the agent doesn't have the same dialect? Or what if the agent is offshore? What does the customer feel? Well, guess what? It's more likely that the agent can't understand the customer because there are so many different dialects that the agent has to talk to every day. Well, AI can learn all the different dialects all over the world because remember, it's one AI to what could be 1,000 different agents. So the one AI learns the dialects and they can understand the customer. 90% of the time, the AI gets it right compared to 70% of the time when a customer is listening. They have to ask, can you please repeat that? And I don't know about you, but I don't like repeating myself. I'm trying to move quickly and efficiently. and I expect the agent to be able to get what I say. Well, if the AI gets it and then transfers that information to the agent, that's a really good experience. If an artificial intelligence, if the artificial intelligence can ask, what is your name? What is your address? How can I help you today? Those 3 pieces of information are a gold mine because, number one, when the agent answers the phone, they're saying, hi, Peggy, how may I help you? And if I understand correctly, you live at this address. How may I help you today? Or, let me start that over. So a basic and really solid AI solution to start with is an AI system that can get accurate information up front because it's trained to hear all the different dialects. So for example, it can get the customer's name accurately. It can get the address accurately. And it can get the intent accurately. Just passing those 3 pieces of information from the AI to the agent is a game changer because the agent starts the call knowing what the customer's name is, what their address is, and what they're interested in finding out, or if they're interested in placing an order. So that's really invaluable because the agent starts off right away. Hello, Peggy. I understand this is your address and you're interested in placing an order today. I can do that for you. That's a good experience. Next step is to take the most repetitive task that the agent does every day for that customer and let the AI system do that.
Go back.
Okay. Go back to the next task. Okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to let the AI system take over the repetitive tasks. This is a better experience for the customer and it's a better experience for the agent, if you think about it. So the repetitive task might include things like, what are your store hours? What are the menu items? What are the specials? Can I just simply order what I ordered last week? Anything that's basically easy to implement and an agent can do it without a lot of training knowledge or even creative thinking is what we should let the AI system do for us. And it's a good experience because to the customer, the AI system sounds very human and it understands what they're saying and it responds in a manner that's very comfortable because we're duplicating the human experience. But what we can't duplicate is that creative problem solving where something unique is being asked of the AI and the AI simply doesn't have the solution. Will they someday in the future? Yes. Do they today? No. But that's okay because the combination of an AI solution and a human solution is the best possible customer experience.
Teresa, A1, take 1.
Okay, Teresa, I want you to tell us, how New Students Plus, how you joined forces with New Students Plus, what the challenges were, and really what that journey has been like.
So, Nasudas Plus. So we started working with Nasudas Plus to support the Domino's franchisees. And one of the things that they asked of us was to staff up a group of live agents to handle calls.
All right, we gotta start again. Come on. We need to get quiet in the kitchen too. Okay, and
Again.
again.
When we partnered with Nasudas Plus, the idea was to provide live agent solution to Domino's franchisees to help them take orders. The challenge was they'd never worked with a contact center before or live agents. So their expectations were not what you would see in a corporation that had experience. So from a customer service perspective, we asked for certain things like, can you give us, your training? Can we get some e-learning for the products? Can we get
Teresa A1, take 2.
And tell us the story, Teresa.
So, like many quick service restaurants, Domino's faced a challenge every single day. And that was during the rush hours where there was a ton of customers, they could not answer the phones. In some quick service restaurants, they turn the phones off during rush hour. In some, they just simply answer the phone, but the experience for the customer is rushed and not necessarily what you would consider to be the best customer service. So Nasutis Plus recognized the opportunity and said, we need to bring additional staffing to the stores during this rush period, and in some cases beyond the rush period, but mostly the rush period, so that we could provide a better customer experience. Not only does it provide a better customer experience, but it provides a great efficiency that saves a ton of money. You don't want to have to hire an employee just to come into the store to answer the phones. That's not a good, efficient use. And by the way, one employee can't answer the phones. You have to have one employee and then the second and then the third, because the phone is going to ring more than one time in a certain minute. And that's what you have to know about staffing during these types of periods. You've got to do interval staffing. You've got to have multiple people waiting for those calls. And obviously, the efficiency is gained by having more people and more calls to answer. And that's why you combine a group of stores versus just one store and having one owner try to solve that problem. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to look at what is the actual salary with all the benefits and all the expenses of having one person in the store that can handle these calls versus a very efficient operation of live agents who are trained and have nothing else to do except for do a great job in taking that customer's order. And that's what we set out to do. Nasutis Plus asked us to help build that service. We started out with live agent, and that's where you learn, what does the customer feel? What do they think? What do they like? What are their pain points? By talking to the customer, you really get to know the customer. Once you know the customer, then you can bring in your technology to support it and make it even more efficient and a better experience. And some people say, how can AI be a better experience for the customer? Believe me, it is. Because we can train AI. One AI robot is going to handle all the calls. All right? We can train that one AI robot in a minute if we need to teach it a new special, a new way to do something, a different way to understand what the customer is saying. Imagine trying to cascade that information to 800 people. So if it's a repetitive, non-changing, pretty straightforward situation, the AI bot, the virtual assistant, handles it better than a live person. More efficient, better quality. That's what you're looking for, right? Now there comes a time when the bot or artificial intelligence can't solve the problem because it's a creative solution. It's something that's outside the box. It's something that hasn't been solved before, and we haven't trained the AI to handle it. So that's when the live agent comes in. And they come in seamlessly because the AI transfers all that information that they've gathered right to the representative who picks it up at that moment and takes it to the finish line. Customer doesn't feel any kind of disruption in the communication. It's just smooth, seamless, and done. And that's what you're looking for when you're trying to build a seamless AI human solution.
Teresa B1, take 1.
Why did it take one? Oh, okay. Oh, that is take one. Thank you. You're good. And new QSR.
New QSR is a new company.
Start again. New QSR.
New QSR is a new company that is specifically designed to leverage the technology that's coming into us every day. It's changing. In fact, by the time I finish talking to you about this, it'll already have changed. But what we're going to do is talk about what we've done so far. So new QSR came into play in order to leverage the technology of artificial intelligence that we used at Domino's to create a completely improved customer experience that also drove revenue, efficiencies, and of course, as a result, profitability.
Teresa, C1, take one.
And can you just start us off with the intro to, you want to do New Students Plus?
Sure.
Okay, and tell us about New Students Plus.
New Students Plus is a special company because it has relationships with most of the Domino's stores and franchisees in the United States and some international. What they are striving to do is make a huge positive contribution to the profitability of the stores. They started with telco, they've enhanced data, and now they're looking at how do they provide additional staffing that's not in the store, but yet growing the customer base, the business of each store. And how do they do that? They do that with live agent and artificial intelligence for a seamless integration that provides higher revenue, lower cost, and higher profitability.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the labor challenges and how we at New QSR are going to solve that problem or help with that problem?
So every quick service restaurant in the country is facing higher labor cost. And so we're looking at ways to make our operation more efficient. Well, having enough people in the store to answer the phone if the phone rings is not efficient. Not having enough people in the store to answer the phones if the phone rings is a horrible customer experience. So stores have to choose between turning the phones off and making what their food and serving the customers that come into the store, or leaving the phones on and being relatively, not, I wouldn't say rude, but rushing the customer through whatever it is they need on the phone because they need to get back to making food and taking care of in-store customers.
They just can't handle it.
Okay.
Okay.
So having the phones answered in the store is just a non-starter for every company. They can't handle it, especially during the rush hours. Properly staffing to handle the phones is not profitable. That's why it's important to look at how can I outsource this function during rush hour.
Then can you just say during the rush? Because we don't say rush hour.
Okay, during the rush. Okay.
All the QSRs call it the rush.
Okay.
Okay. And one more time, how is our system, which is the hybrid of AI and a contact center, how is that going to help the labor problem in QSR restaurants?
So every quick service restaurant is facing higher and higher labor costs. If you're trying to staff your phones during the rush, you're going to end up spending money that is not necessary to spend, or worse, you're going to simply not answer the phone and provide a really bad customer experience. Lost sales, bad customer experience, bad for business. So most quick service restaurants right now, I'm gonna start that over. So most quick service restaurants right now are looking at alternatives. And of course that alternative is having those calls answered outside the store. And at first that's kind of a scary proposition because can anyone really handle the calls as well as your people in the stores can? And the answer is not only can they handle them, but they can handle them better than the people in the stores. Why? Because that's what they do. Just like the people in the stores are trained to make the products that you sell, the people that handle the phones, those live agents, are trained to handle the customers and to provide the best customer experience. Now, is it expensive? Yes, it's not as expensive as staffing your store. How do we reduce the cost of outsourcing? That's where AI comes in. We have an AI virtual assistant that is seamlessly integrated with a live agent to provide a very cost-effective solution that's an improved customer experience. It doesn't get any better than that.
That's fantastic. Okay, now tell me about our future in QSR.
So the future of QSR is really fantastic. Honestly, it is, because there's so many things that we're going to be able to do because of the advances in technology. I'll just name a few. For example, we can seamlessly integrate a virtual assistant with a human so that when the virtual assistant can't handle the customer's request or order, seamlessly passes it over to a human. It's a beautiful experience for the customer. All the data that the virtual assistant has collected goes to that agent so the customer doesn't have to repeat themselves. That's where the experience gets bad. The new systems, the new technology eliminates that problem. Another thing that it does is it can translate a customer's language, Spanish to English, English back to Spanish, so that a one rep can handle multiple languages, and it's seamless. There's no latency anymore. The other thing we can do is we can actually match the customer's accent. So when a customer calls in from Louisiana, we're going to match the accent of that person that's calling from Louisiana versus the customer that calls in from Long Island, New York. And there's a big difference. A human can't do that by themselves. Only with the assistance of AI can that be done.
Go back, tell me about the accents again.
So today, a very new technology that we are excited about is the ability to take AI and have it learn the various dialects for the different regions of the country. And this becomes important when you're dealing specifically in rural areas of the country where they're not accustomed to having multiple dialects. So if you're going to send your calls, for example, to the Philippines, which, by the way, has the best customer service in the world, it's known for that, you're going to have a Philippine accent unless the company that you're working with, like New QSR, has implemented an accent AI system that will match the dialect of the person that's calling. It can also translate the call from one language to English and then back to that language. So one single rep that speaks English can now handle the call in multiple languages.
Fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit about how you see the future of using data, in the data that we gather and what that data is and how you can help the stores?
So people think about the interaction with the customer as the end all. Customer takes the order, People think about the interaction with the customer as basically the service. But in reality, that's just the beginning. Having a great customer experience, of course, is required. That's a ticket to play. But guess what else happens? Every single call, interaction, transaction, however the customer is interacting is recorded. Whether it's voice or text, that information is turned into data. That's data. That data then is used for analytics. It's used to predict. It's used to make decisions. We've never had that before, where you actually could look at the data for a month of all the people that you've talked to and see what products do they like, what were their complaints, what was the most common complaint, what was something they asked for that they haven't received before, where should I be looking to put in a new product, what price points are too high, what coupons work, what coupons don't work. I could go on and on. It's a feast of information that helps you make business decisions.